The story begins with Reed, a highly intelligent boy living in New York City. One day at school, his teacher asks the class what they want to be when they grow up. One by one, the students share their answers until it's Reed's turn. Confidently, he explains that he's building a machine capable of teleporting objects from one place to another in just a few seconds. He also says he wants to keep improving it because he believes this technology could completely change the future. Instead of being impressed, the entire class bursts into laughter. His classmates make fun of him, and even the teacher assumes he's just using his imagination. No one believes a kid his age could build something so advanced, so the teacher tells him to stop talking and take his seat. However, there is one person who does believe him. It's Ben, one of his classmates, who is fascinated by Reed's idea. He genuinely thinks the machine could work, and from that moment on, the project completely captures his attention. That same night, Reed sneaks into an old junkyard to find an electrical converter he needs for his invention. But when he arrives, he discovers that the junkyard belongs to Ben's father. When Ben finds him there, instead of getting angry, he listens carefully as Reed explains that he's building a teleportation machine that could one day benefit all of humanity. Since Ben has been curious about the project ever since what happened at school, he agrees to help without a second thought. He also loves building things, and from that day forward, the two become close friends and begin working together. Over the next 7 years, Reed and Ben spend almost all of their free time improving the machine. Little by little, they manage to build a working prototype, and eventually they are just one step away from completing the teleporter. Before finishing it, they decide to present their invention at a science fair, hoping that a scientist will recognize their talent and help them continue their research. Standing before the audience, Reed and Ben proudly explain how the machine works. To prove that it's real, they teleport a small toy helicopter into another dimension right in front of everyone. But instead of being amazed, most people assume it's nothing more than a magic trick. None of the scientists take the experiment seriously, and in the end, Reed and Ben are kicked out of the fair. The two are completely devastated. After spending so many years working on their invention, they feel like no one believes in them or everything they've accomplished. Just then, a scientist named Franklin approaches them. Unlike everyone else, he is genuinely impressed by their invention. He explains that he has been working on a very similar teleportation project for a long time. But even with all the resources in his laboratory, he hasn't come close to achieving what they have. Standing beside him is his student, Susan, who is equally amazed by the boy's work. Even so, Franklin points out one major problem. He explains that while the machine can send objects to another dimension, it still hasn't been able to bring anything back. According to him, if they can solve that final piece of the puzzle, they could change science forever. Convinced by their extraordinary talent, Franklin offers them scholarships to join his prestigious research institute and continue working on the project. Reed and Ben can hardly believe the opportunity in front of them. For the first time, real scientists are recognizing their work. Better yet, they'll finally have the resources and support they need to complete their machine. Shortly after arriving at the institute, Reed and Ben immediately get back to work on the teleporter. During that time, Reed begins spending more and more time with Susan, and little by little, he starts falling for her. As the days pass, a genuine connection begins to grow between them. Meanwhile, the Institute's board of directors hold an important meeting to discuss the teleportation project. During the meeting, Dr. Franklin tells the board that if they truly want to complete the machine, they need to bring back a former student named Victor. According to Franklin, Victor was one of the most brilliant minds the Institute has ever had. Years ago, he worked on the teleportation project, but eventually walked away because of several conflicts. Even so, Franklin is convinced that Victor is the missing piece they need to finish the machine. In the end, the board approves the proposal, and Victor returns to the Institute. The team is now made up of Reed, Ben, Victor, and Johnny, Susan's younger brother, and together they begin working to complete the teleporter. From that moment on, everyone dedicates themselves completely to the project. They spend days and nights working without rest, pushing the research further than anyone ever thought possible. After several weeks, they finally succeed in building a fully functional teleportation system. Now comes the most important test, proving that the machine can send something to another world and bring it back safely. If they succeed, it will be a breakthrough that could change history. To test it, they place a chimpanzee inside the machine and send it to another dimension. Everyone waits anxiously until, a few moments later, the animal returns alive and unharmed. The room erupts with excitement. The scientists can hardly believe what they've accomplished. They've created a machine capable of traveling between worlds. But the celebration doesn't last long. The Institute's director, Dr. Allen, makes an announcement that immediately kills the excitement. He explains that the next phase of the project, sending humans through the portal, will be handed over to NASA. According to him, the first people to make the journey should be trained astronauts. The news hits the team like a punch to the gut. After dedicating so many years to the project, they feel that NASA is about to take all the credit. They also believe they deserve to be the first to cross into the other world, since they're the ones who built the machine. Because of this, they decide to carry out the mission themselves and keep it a secret. That very night, Reed, Ben, Johnny, and Victor prepare to travel through the teleporter, while Susan stays behind at the Institute to monitor the mission from Earth. The four of them step through the portal, and within seconds they arrive in a completely unknown world called Planet Zero. The moment they set foot there, they're left speechless. Everything is different. The atmosphere, the landscape, and the strange glow surrounding the planet are unlike anything on Earth. As they explore the planet, Victor comes across a pool of glowing green lava. Curious, he walks over and decides to touch it. The instant he does, a massive explosion shakes the entire planet. The powerful blast throws Victor straight into the green lava. Reed, Ben, and Johnny watch in horror, convinced that their friend has just died. Without wasting a second, the three of them sprint back to the transport pod so Susan can bring them home. Back at the Institute, Susan immediately activates the system to pull them back to Earth. But the explosion on Planet Zero also affects the portal, and a powerful surge of energy travels through it along with them. Within seconds, a massive explosion rocks the entire Institute as the portal begins to spiral out of control. Since the connection between the two worlds is still open, the entire building starts collapsing. Despite the disaster, Susan manages to bring Reed, Ben, and Johnny safely back just moments before the facility is completely destroyed. After everything they experience on Planet Zero, the lives of Reed, Ben, and Johnny are changed forever. Not long after returning, the three of them begin noticing strange changes in their bodies. The atmosphere of that world has altered their DNA, giving them abilities no human should possess. Reed is the first to discover his new power. His body becomes completely elastic, allowing him to stretch and bend in impossible ways, as if he were made of rubber. Susan is also affected by the explosion at the Institute. Even though she never traveled to Planet Zero, from that moment on, she discovers that she can turn completely invisible whenever she wants. Johnny develops an incredible ability as well. He can now generate and control massive amounts of fire. His body can withstand temperatures of over 4,000 degrees, essentially turning him into a human torch. But the most dramatic transformation happens to Ben. His entire body changes into a massive rock-like form. His skin becomes covered in stone, giving him extraordinary strength and durability, although his appearance now resembles that of a giant monster. As soon as the US government learns what happened, it steps in immediately. The four of them are considered far too dangerous to be left free, so they're taken to a secret facility known as Area 57. They're kept under constant surveillance while scientists study their new abilities and try to understand what happened to them. A few days later, Reed regains consciousness and fully realizes what he has become. Taking advantage of his elastic body, he slips out of the restraints holding him down. He then stretches his way through the ventilation ducts and successfully escapes the facility. While making his escape, he finds Ben locked inside another room. Seeing his best friend transformed into that enormous stone creature fills Reed with guilt. He feels responsible for everything that happened. Before leaving, Reed promises Ben that he'll come back for him and find a way to restore his body. After that, Reed disappears without a trace. When Dr. Allen discovers that Reed has escaped, he immediately informs Dr. Franklin. Franklin is deeply concerned, but Allen is focused only on the threat Reed now poses with his powers. The government launches a massive search to find him. When they fail to track him down, Allen decides to speak with Ben. He knows that the only thing Ben wants is to become human again, so he makes him a promise. He tells Ben that if he helps capture Reed, the scientists will do everything they can to restore his original body. Ben is devastated by everything that's happened, but the chance to get his old life back is enough to convince him to accept the offer. Despite deploying soldiers and agents everywhere, the government still can't find Reed. Several years pass. During that time, Susan, Johnny, and Ben begin working for the United States military, using their powers to carry out extremely dangerous missions. The three of them become living weapons, capable of accomplishing tasks that no ordinary soldier could ever handle. The government is extremely pleased with the results, and Dr. Allen proudly claims that they now possess superpowered individuals strong enough to defeat even enemy nations if necessary. But Dr. Allen's ambitions are far greater than anyone realizes. He continues searching for Reed because Reed is the only person capable of rebuilding the teleportation machine. Allen is obsessed with returning to Planet Zero to harvest its mysterious energy source. He believes that energy could be used to create more superpowered people like Ben, Johnny, and Susan. With an army like that, the United States could stand against any nation in the world. And without Reed, none of it would be possible. That's why they never stop searching for him. To Allen, Reed is no longer just a missing scientist, he's the most important piece of his entire plan. Sometime later, Dr. Franklin speaks with Susan, hoping she knows where Reed is hiding. But Susan tells him she has no idea where Reed could be. Even so, Franklin asks her to keep looking for him, and she decides to search on her own. Meanwhile, Reed remains completely hidden. He changes his appearance, leaves his old identity behind, and lives in secrecy to stay out of the government's reach. During that time, he also works on a special suit designed for traveling to Planet Zero. Deep down, he still blames himself for what happened to Ben. Reed is convinced that the only way to help his friend is to return to Planet Zero and find a cure. After some time, Susan finally discovers where Reed has been hiding and reports his location to the government. They immediately organize an operation to capture him, with Ben joining the mission as well. Soon, Reed's hideout is surrounded by soldiers. Ben confronts him personally and tries to bring him back. Reed resists, but in the end they manage to capture him and force him to return to the facility. Once there, Dr. Allen demands that Reed rebuild the teleportation machine. At first, Reed refuses because he no longer trusts the project after everything that has happened. Allen then tries to persuade him. He says they need to return to Planet Zero to collect its mysterious energy source, claiming it could benefit all of humanity. But Reed isn't interested in that. The only thing he cares about is finding a way to save Ben. Realizing this, Allen decides to use it to his advantage. He promises Reed that if the mission succeeds and they bring back enough energy from Planet Zero, they'll use it to restore Ben's human body. After hearing that promise, Reed finally agrees to help, even though he believes bringing that energy to Earth could be extremely dangerous. Even so, he chooses to do it for his best friend. After several days of work, Reed successfully rebuilds the teleportation machine. With the portal up and running again, Dr. Allen sends a team of soldiers to Planet Zero, but the moment they arrive, they spot a mysterious figure slowly walking through the darkness. As the figure gets closer, everyone is left in complete shock. It's Victor. Everyone believed he had died in the explosion years earlier, but somehow he managed to survive on Planet Zero all by himself. The soldiers immediately bring him back to Earth, where the scientists can hardly believe he's still alive. There is no logical explanation for how someone could survive for so many years on an unknown planet without food or water. That's when they realize what really happened. Planet Zero transformed Victor as well. His body is covered in burns and scars, yet he's still alive. It's also clear that he now possesses powers far beyond those of any normal human. Dr. Allen tries to question him, hoping to learn what happened and understand his new abilities. But Victor is no longer the same person. After spending so many years completely alone on Planet Zero, he has developed a deep hatred for humanity. He is convinced that everyone abandoned him there to die and that no one ever made the slightest effort to rescue him. Now Victor has only one goal: revenge. He believes humanity no longer deserves to exist. In his mind, the only solution is to destroy Earth and create a new world from scratch. Without warning, Victor attacks the laboratory. Within seconds, he kills Dr. Allen along with several scientists inside the facility. Chaos erupts throughout the building as Victor unleashes the full power he gained on Planet Zero. He no longer considers himself human, and he no longer cares what happens to anyone else. As he heads toward the teleportation machine, Dr. Franklin tries to stop him. He begs Victor to come to his senses and warns him that this path will only lead to destruction. But Victor refuses to listen and kills Franklin as well. After that, he steps through the portal and returns to Planet Zero. This time, however, he uses the machine in a completely different way. The portal begins expanding out of control, becoming like a massive black hole that pulls everything around it inward. Destruction starts spreading across Earth, and before Reed and the others can escape, they are pulled through the portal and dragged to Planet Zero as well. At that moment, they finally understand Victor's true plan. He intends to use the portal to destroy Earth completely and replace it with a brand new world. When they arrive on Planet Zero, they watch in horror as the expanding portal begins tearing the planet apart. Massive portions of Earth are being pulled into Planet Zero, and if Victor isn't stopped, billions of people will die. Realizing they have no other choice, Reed and the others decide to face him together. One by one, they try to defeat him, but Victor is simply too powerful. After spending so many years on Planet Zero, his abilities have grown far beyond anything they expected. Every time one of them fights him alone, they end up losing. That's when Reed realizes something important. Their powers were never meant to be used separately, they were meant to work together as a true team. So they changed their strategy and combined their strengths. During the battle, Susan uses her powers to create openings for attacks. Johnny unleashes all of his firepower against Victor, and Reed keeps him occupied with his elastic body, giving Ben enough time to get close. At the perfect moment, Ben lands a devastating punch that sends Victor flying straight into the unstable portal. Victor becomes trapped inside the portal's immense energy, and as it continues to spiral out of control, he begins losing control of his own powers. Seconds later, a massive explosion completely destroys the portal, and Victor along with it. But the danger isn't over yet. Even though Victor has been defeated, the portal remains active and continues pulling Earth toward Planet Zero. Without wasting a second, Johnny pushes his powers to the limit and destroys the teleportation machine with his flames. At last, the portal collapses and Earth is saved just moments before being destroyed. After the battle, Reed and the others use the remaining portal system to make it safely back to Earth. This time, everything is different. They are no longer experiments, victims, or weapons controlled by the government. Now, they are a true team. Sometime later, the government gives them a new headquarters where they can train, study their powers, and learn to control them. But the four of them make one very important decision. They will never again allow themselves to be used as experiments. From now on, they will use their abilities only to protect people and help those in need. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what you think about this movie.